Hello, Prudential Sales Executives, for our video message of the week. All right, this message is entitled Minimizing and Handling Objections. Now, first of all, the best way to handle any objections is to know your stuff. And the way you do that is you train, you go through aspects like restart, and you practice. But for today's message, I want to share with you three ideas and three aspects that I think will really help you, and in my eyes, they can be pitfalls that I want you to really look out for. All right, so let's get started. First of all, when dealing with objections, I don't want you to be the person who's creating those objections. Sometimes, based on our own belief of what our skill sets are, or what we think the seller is thinking or a buyer is thinking, we go into presentations and we already have the concern and the worry about certain objections that may come up. And that's coming from our own insecurity, our own worries. And guess what? The seller doesn't have those same insecurities in those same ways. So sometimes we go into a presentation and we end up being our worst enemy. I don't want that to happen. Do not go into any presentation, buyer or seller, making any assumptions on any objections. It's not the same as your friend talking about a specific situation. You go in knowing your stuff, you've practiced, okay, you understand the information you're going to share, and then, you know what? When objections come up, we'll deal with them. Next, I want you to deal with any objections at the end of a presentation. What do I mean? Well, in a way, you're basically putting off objections when they come up right up front for a couple reasons. One, if you continually answer objections right when they come up, it's really taking away from your presentation. All right, it's confusing, it's basically breaking your thought process, and you're not going to flow like you need to flow. So that's number one. The second reason you want to wait and just say, you know what, we'll cover that. Okay, if they bring up something, we'll cover that, make a note, and we'll cover that at the end. The other reason is you know what? Sellers and buyers will forget about the objections that really don't matter to them. It's just something that came off the top of their head and they made a statement about it. So in a way, you're just ignoring that to the end. Not that you're not going to deal with it. And I promise you this much, the real key objections will come back up because it's what really their core concerns are. Okay, so wait. Don't be Mr. or Mrs. Objection Handler right up front. Wait to the end of the presentation. Lastly, okay, very, very important, this will help you so much, is I want you to really, when you're meeting with a seller, you're meeting with a buyer, I want you to go in search of their dominant buying or selling motive. This will help you determine what's really important to them. You know, we've all heard, there's a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. One of those habits is start with the end in mind. That's what I'm talking about here. I want you to start with the end in mind of what the seller's really trying to accomplish. Get that out. Ask those questions and find out that information. Because a lot of the objections that they may bring up don't even matter, because guess what? It doesn't even support what they're trying to accomplish. Once you determine what they're really trying to accomplish, I promise you, you can jump around a lot of objections that don't matter and get to what's really important to the client. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.